Hey guys, this is Brian with the C-Chop. Today we're going to be taking you through how to recover a console lid. This is a Chevy, this is actually a GMC Sierra. Same thing for the Silverados, this 2015 and up for the trucks. Same thing for the SUVs, but I think they started in 14 and up on the Tahoes and Suburbans and stuff. So there's two different types of consoles. There's some that charge, there's some that don't. This is the charging one, so if your cell phone can charge wirelessly, you can just drop your cell phone on there. There's one extra step in taking that apart because there's obviously a wire going to it to provide the power. So I'm going to show you how to disconnect that. We'll take the lid inside, throw it on the bench, and I'll show you guys how to recover this rig. So pulling it off is pretty simple. I don't need many tools. I got a couple Pry Tools here and a Phillips head screwdriver. So this black panel here, there's no screws or anything on here. They all clip. There's connections that push on underneath. So we'll take a Pry Tool. This is just a plastic one, and I'm going to just kind of go around the edges and start to pop this thing off. There we go. So you can see all the connections, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 connections that push on. We can move this piece out of the way. Now we've got 4 screws. These are Phillips, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then here's our power connection. So GM put the little button to release this on the back side in between the lid and the charging assembly. So I'm going to take another Pry Tool and try to push in on that and down. There we go. Okay, so here is our button that we're pushing right here. So this pushes down to release it. So that way you know what you're looking for, what you're going for back there. Take a pick or a screwdriver or Pry Tool or something to push that down, and then it'll pull out. So now our wire's disconnected. We'll take our Phillips head. Go. Now our lid comes loose. So then we got this assembly. We can take it inside, throw it on the workbench, show you guys how to strip this off and put the new one on. If you have a Chevy 1500 model, it'll work from 2014 all the way through 2018. If you've got a 2500 or 3500, it'll be from 15 through 19. And if you have an SUV, so Suburban, Tahoe, Yukon, Yukon XL, stuff like that, it'll run from 15 all the way through 20. So there are two different models, just like we discussed when we were pulling this out. There's a charging one and a non-charging. So if you have a cell phone, you can drop your cell phone in the middle piece here and it'll charge it up. This one is a charging one. The install process is basically the same, but we're going to go through this for the charging one first and show you how all that works out. So it's kind of a little long and tedious process because there's a bunch of staples that are stapled all around the rim inside of here. So we'll have to pull all those suckers out to get the cover off. There's a couple of the screws we need to undo to get the module off of here. So I'll go through some of the tools we'll need to do the install. I got a little flathead screwdriver. It's going to help me pry out a lot of the staples that are in there. I got a pair of snips or a pair of needle nose to help pull the staples completely out. Phillips head drive for my impact. I got a staple gun, and what's important about the staple guns is going to be the size staples. These are real small, something you're not going to be able to find at your local hardware store. You know, Lowe's or Home Depot is not going to have this small of a staple. So what I'm running is a 5/32 staple, and I've got an upholstery staple gun. You don't have to have this one. It just has a longer nose on it right here. So you can be able to get down in there to shoot it, but there's no real tight spots that you absolutely have to have that nose for. Biggest thing is just having a short staple, the 5/32, so we can go into the plastic, but it's not going to bust through the plastic. And I've also got one size bigger staple here. These are 1/4 inch. I guess it's more than one size from 5/32, but I run a 1/4 inch from my other one. So if on the corners, when I'm stapling here, if I've got multiple layers stacked up that need to staple through, that little 5/32 is not going to go all the way through the material and into the plastic. So some of these corners, if I'm having to staple through multiple thicknesses of the material, I'll switch over and run a 1/4 inch staple in there. But those are the two I need, those two staples, a pair of scissors, and then these are some of our Pry Tools that we use to pull it out of the truck. You're also going to need a Torx bit, a T20. T20 is going to pull off the charging module off the back. If you don't have the charging, you probably don't need the 20. But T20 will pull off the screws to remove that piece there. So we'll go ahead and get started. We'll start by pulling the power module off with the Torx. All these are threaded into plastic, so it's not that big of a deal when you're taking them off, but whenever we're putting it back together, and I'll go over it when we do that, is you don't want to torque them down real hard, because you can strip the plastic pretty easily. So on the impact, I got it turned way down, so it won't strip it. But be real mindful of that when you're putting it back together. So here's a module that comes off. Set it to the side. Now we got another 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more Torx screws here. This is going to drop the center plate, so these screws are going to drop this plastic plate here off. This is rubber, that didn't come out yet. Let's go. Let's pull these guys. If you do happen to break one or strip the thread, you can shoot some Gorilla Glue or something down in it, and coat the screw with that, and then screw it in, and just let that set up, and that'll usually help you out. It'll usually solidify in there pretty decent. So not the end of the world, but just try not to torque them down so you don't strip the plastic thread. Now the front latch here, we got 2 screws on the side. These are still the Torx there and there. Then we also have a Phillips on this front nose there. So let's do these 2. We'll switch over to our Phillips. All these are the same size screw for all these, except for this Phillips one. So you don't have to worry about separating them or keeping them in separate piles or anything like that. Okay, this one is bigger and different. And this piece will just lift right out. It just comes right out. So it's really easy to put back in. It just lays right in place. It's really easy to do. So now, next step, let's go ahead and pull this. Let's get my little screwdriver and let's pry this guy out. There's that. Here's our tray. Move it to the side. You can see all the staples that are in it, corresponding on the side, stapled all the way around. We're going to take our flathead and then go and start pulling all those out. I usually just kind of get it one side up, just underneath it, and probably pull one side up like that, so you can see where it's just kind of kicked up like that. And then I can have something to grab onto with my either needle nose or a pair of dikes. Don't snip it, just enough pressure, and then just roll it out, and it'll pull out for you real easy. So just go all the way around the edge and loosen that one side, get it kicked up enough where you can get the needle nose or dikes onto it. A lot of consoles come different ways on how they attach the cover onto the plastic. So there's kind of 3 different ways they'll do it. They'll either use staples, a lot of them will use glue. They'll glue around it and hook it on, and then come back with a couple staples afterwards, just to secure it a little bit better. And then some of them are like a heat seal, so they have a $9 gajillion machine that stretches it around the material or around the plastic assembly, and then it holds it real tight, and then it's got a little boom that comes through and seals the vinyl, kind of melts it into the plastic around the perimeter. So there's a bunch of different ways to do them. This one happens just to be all staples. So okay, now pull them all out. Use this for a little tray. Okay, now we got some oil and some more staples here underneath. Okay, looks like all on this side. Flip over to the top. Okay, all right, so that's all the staples. Now we'll just pull this thing around, get it off. There we go. So here's our old cover. Set it to the side. Here's you can see there's some foam rubber inserts into the plastic here. This is what gives it the squish. If it's really beat down here, you can add a little piece of foam, but it's hard to find this stuff that's this rubbery, the real dense stuff like this. Usually that's not that beat down, it's just the top that's cracked on the vinyl that's wrapped on top of it. But this should be in good shape. Go ahead and rewrap it. So we'll get the new cover, stretch it on, pull around, start stapling, and just kind of reverse everything we just did. So here we go.